For more on the fight against the Islamic State, I'm joined by David Siegel. He's an associate professor at Duke University. His research specializes in political violence and terrorism. Thanks so much for joining us. What are your thoughts on Rouhani's comments?
Oh, thanks for having me. I mean, again, it's not wrong to say that. It's easy to say there's an alternative method by which more local governments can help, and that's certainly true. It's just there hasn't been, there wasn't a strategy really offered there, and there's not really a strategy offered. I mean, the major issue is Iran has definite interest in the region, allied with Iraqi's Shia government, but that's not necessarily the best option for solving a fairly difficult, messy problem. But the fundamental issues are political, and not only on their side.
You say it's a messy problem. What are your thoughts on the airstrikes? Is that one way to deal with it?
No. I mean, in short, not really. I mean, I think this is a temporary solution at best to try to limit the advance of ISIS. And I believe the hope is that by limiting the advance, they'll limit the attractiveness of ISIS to foreign fighters, but it's unclear it's going to have any other long-term effect.
3 European nations, Britain, Belgium, Denmark, all agreeing to join the coalition. Is that significant in your estimation?
I mean, it's a broader coalition is beneficial for the the appearance of it and potentially for extra resources. But again, the airstrike strategy itself is not really a long-term strategy, so it's not really going to aid that anyway.
And some European partners are really reluctant to take part in hitting Syrian targets. Does that hurt or hinder the message that the United States government is trying to send about this coalition?
Somewhat. I mean, it becomes, even more willing, a coalition of the willing than before, in the sense that they're not going to go along with the entire strategy. But again, I mean, if the strategy itself is flawed, it will hinder the short-term strategy, but not necessarily change any long-term effect.
The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency believes IS may have up to 31,000 fighters in Iraq and Syria. That's 3 times as many as previously thought. And though UN General Assembly passed a resolution to ban terror recruits, is there any way to stop this? Because I was watching a piece earlier today where they show the Turkish border, and there's been a lot of talk about how porous the U.S. border is with Mexico. It looks like a fortress compared to Turkey.
So I mean, it's really a matter less of borders, I just think, than just some real power-sharing agreements in place there. I mean, fundamentally, you have a people who are supporting ISIS because there's no other alternative that is beneficial to them, and that has to change before there's any kind of movement. I mean, we have to look back to the Anbar awakening and the surge in 2007 to remember, what we did to have some positive effect. It was a combination of military force on the ground to provide security, but also providing an alternative that was beneficial to the local Sunni tribes that actually they preferred to supporting al-Qaeda in Iraq. We need the same kind of thing now, but longer term with an actual power-sharing agreement in place. Without that, it's just temporary. And
David, one final question, because I think you're kind of hitting on this. Rouhani did say it's really important to understand the reason behind ISIS. Do you think that's the reasoning behind it? I mean, try and give us a sense of why IS the message is resonating, especially with these foreign fighters who are coming from other parts of the world.
Because they seem to be successful, right? I mean, so the legitimacy arises from the fact that they're actually successfully, gaining territory and, trying to create this thing they're calling Islamic State, and it's very deliberately called that, right? So it resonates in that sense. The thing is, it resonates because the alternatives these people have are not really there, right? They don't have any semblance of power within their own states, within their own governments. They don't have resource sharing, they don't have power sharing, so this looks really attractive to them compared to the alternatives. I mean, for years, the Maliki government was not in any way, inclusive for the Sunni population, and there's very little incentive to go along with Iraq as a state, given that.
David Siegel joining us from Durham, North Carolina. Thank you so much.